I'm Leo Sidran with The Art of the Story. If you were buying records in the 1990s and actually reading the liner notes, there was a name you started seeing over and over again: Bob Power. A Tribe Called Quest, The Roots, D'Angelo, Erykah Badu, De La Soul, Common, Michelle Indigiocello. All of them turned to Bob for their iconic recordings. These were records that helped redefine what hip-hop and soul could sound like, and that drew the line between jazz and hip-hop. Bob Power, the recording engineer and producer who helped shape the sound of modern hip-hop and soul, died this week. When I visited him in his Manhattan studio a few years ago for the Third Story podcast, I asked him what he thought his contribution had really been.
The sound of what I did and its contribution was that I cared.
That might sound modest, but it wasn't. Because when Power started engineering hip-hop sessions in the late 80s, many people in the recording establishment didn't take that music seriously. It wasn't made the way records had traditionally been made. It relied on drum machines and samples, fragments of other records. Some engineers dismissed it outright. Power didn't. He simply approached it like any other music worth making, with attention, curiosity, and respect.
I applied the same rules of something sounding really good to hip-hop as I would to any other kind of music.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people at that point were just pressing the button saying, I hate this, but, let me get paid.
To him, the new music wasn't a problem, it was a puzzle.
When I saw the amazing constructions that these people who, quote-unquote, didn't know what they were doing were making, I was like, this stuff's really amazing. What a novel way of conceiving and executing music. And these are some really interesting challenges of making it work in the studio.
Power had actually started his career as a musician. He had degrees in classical composition and jazz performance. When he moved to New York in the early 80s, he was still playing wedding gigs and writing music for TV while slowly finding his way into the studio world. And the studio where he first engineered sessions happened to be one of the cheapest in town, which meant the most interesting music kept coming through the door: Latin dance records, house music, and eventually hip-hop. Bob believed that innovative music often comes from people who don't know the rules.
I think it's really important to respect the artists. And you know what? The thing that makes the artist special maybe is that they don't know the normal way. And that's where all great records are made.
Yes.
Great music is made, is people who either don't care or don't understand, quote unquote, normal, and they do something really extraordinary.
Yes. Later in life, he became a teacher at NYU, where he tried to pass that philosophy along to a new generation of producers and musicians. His advice was simple: don't try to do everything. Find the one thing that is uniquely yours.
Show the one thing that you do that's yours, totally yours, and no one else could do that way, and then find every way in the world to exploit that, enrich that.
Despite his extraordinary gift for coaxing depth and dimension out of recordings, in Bob Power's case, that one thing might not have been specifically musical or technical. It might have been his empathy, the way he cared, his willingness to listen closely and without judgment, to solve the problem and to treat people around him with dignity, to serve the sound. You can hear our full Third Story podcast conversation at wbgo.org. Rest in peace, Bob, and rest in power. I'm Leo Sidran, WBGO News.